Welcome to Smoking Torches and Castoffs, post episode 1. I'm John, and this is Robert.
Yo.
So, first episode, are you excited? How did you feel about it? How did it go?
First episode went a lot better than I was expecting. Despite all the, the twists that we had been discussing in the previous episode, I thought there was too many, and it was just going to be a gigantic cluster in the first episode. It didn't end up being like that, although I still think they kind of introduced a lot of the twists a little haphazardly. It was almost just like, boom, twist, boom, third twist, boom, eighth twist.
You gotta say the twists.
Yeah, okay.
First,
Boom.
loved ones.
Boom, there's loved ones. Boom, now you're in two different tribes. Boom, you're voting someone out. Boom, Redemption Island. Boom, you can switch. Boom, Colton's back. And it's just like so many different kind of twists. And it's just like...
Boom, I'm Jeff Proofs.
Redemption Island. Survivor. Blood versus water. Yeah, so I thought the first episode was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff, and we kind of got a good sense of a lot of people. There was like one or two people who didn't get a whole lot of focus, but for the most part, I think we got a good sense of a lot of people. Like there were a few people who got a little bit more focus than others, but I think for the most part we got to see a lot of the people, which is good because normally at the premiere we see like 4 people and then we would get glimpses of other people and we're just like, oh well, we know who the top people are, or we at least know who the major characters are going to be.
This started kind of making harder for us to figure
Yeah,
out what's
like
going
I thought
on.
it was a lot harder to identify like who was in goods and who was in on the outs, where alliances stood. I don't even know. The only real alliance we saw was like the 5-man group, the Bro Lions. Yeah, we'll call them the Bro Lions. Okay.
See, we're men, and there are only like 4 women. We got the numbers.
Yeah, because when there's 5 out of 9,
Let me count that right. 1, 5, 7, 2,
you
5.
stay.
Yeah.
But when there's 4 out of 9, you go.
Brad Mathematics.
Bradamatics. He's a lawyer, by the way. He used to play football, and now he's a lawyer, so that's the justice system for you people.
Maybe he's just really good at words and bad with math.
So if
You don't get your house mortgage by him,
if-
but
if Brad Culpepper ever defends you in court, make sure that he gets you 4 out of 9 years instead of 5 out of 9 years. Because 4 out of 9, you're out. But 5 out of 9, you're in. You're good. You're screwed. Yeah, so the people were interesting. I like some of the newbies. I didn't think I was going to care too much about any of the newbies, and I was going to be focused a lot on the returning players. But there was actually a lot of interesting newbies, and we got to see different kind of dynamics when it came to them and their loved ones.
the problem with the newbies, though, is that they're too new. It didn't even seem like the loved ones were like, oh, I'll teach you as we go along. They didn't think they were going to be split up at all.
Yeah.
And it seems like they didn't even know the basics of Survivor that people would want to know before going in.
Yeah, you could definitely tell there were a lot of loved ones who were depending on the tribes being like 5 couples rather than the 10 returning players versus the 10 loved ones, and that ended up being detrimental to them because we saw that they didn't get fire. They probably didn't have that great of a shelter, which is already bad enough because not only did the returning players have a good shelter, but they're also used to not having a good shelter regardless. The newbies don't know what it's like to live out there with a shitty shelter or even no shelter at all. So I bet it was a real system shock to them.
Yeah. Because they always hear about somebody like, I learned how to make fire before I went to the show, and it's like, did any of the loved ones have everything to do that?
Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna go on the show, I would definitely
Listen how to make fire.
learn how to make fire with and without flint. Learn how to build shelter. Learn how to swim. We'll get back to that.
You can't swim
And
at all. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
And learn how to survive on coconuts and rice.
I still say you should learn how to eat bugs in this show because it seems like there's so many bugs. You can just you learn to eat them, you'll never run out of protein or whatever.
Well, for me, it's just like, I wouldn't need to learn how to eat bugs, because I would just eat bugs. Like, oh, is there a bug? I'm going to eat it. I'm hungry. Like, it's second nature to me.
No,
I'm
I'm not
not
hungry.
grossed out by that. Poor Jervis. Jervis will not eat bugs.
That's gonna be his downfall.
Yeah, possibly. Foreshadowing.
Alright, I guess least interesting to, or like most screwed to least screwed.
Definitely. And I have my list right here. Most screwed right now at the 20th spot is
All 20 because nobody got voted out.
20 because nobody got voted out.
Thanks, Redemption Island.
And it's kind of hard. Redemption Island kind of screws thing up a little bit because it's kind of hard to rank them because you're just like, well, anybody can be voted out at any time and still be saved, or anybody can be swapped out from Redemption Island at any point. But I tried to make it very clear how I argued. Like, I try and defend their spot justifiably.
Mm-hmm.
So Rupert's definitely in the worst spot as far as I can tell. Laura's over on his original tribe.
They hate her.
Yeah, they hate her. Aris made it specifically pointed out that, oh man, I wish Rupert was here, Laura. I mean, you're just not Rupert. He seemed so bummed that Rupert wasn't there.
Also, he seemed like he was relying on Rupert to do everything.
Not necessarily everything, but Rupert would have helped.
Yeah.
Like, he could have built that shelter. He probably could have made fire, but they didn't need him. It's just Laura was just holding that tribe back around camp.
But you know what? With so many people who are returning stars, you can probably take a couple more people and not be held back. I mean, it seemed like that part where they're all watching her try to cut a melon open. They could have been making shelter or cutting their own melons or doing something.
Well, I think that kind of also kind of points to why having Laura on their tribe kind of sucked, because they felt like they needed to micromanage her. They needed to watch her try and bash open a coconut or a melon with a machete, because if they didn't, she'd probably cut her hand off.
You just need one person to go, you know what, this is how you do it. And then everybody else just walk away and be like, you know what, let them do whatever. She'll probably end up being a swing vote.
I agree with that.
And we should try to manipulate her to get her on our side.
Yeah, but back to Rupert.
Yeah.
He's a man without a tribe, as far as I'm concerned. Nobody is really looking forward to Rupert coming back in the game. His own tribe is kind of mad at him for ditching them, and he's kind of mad at the newbie tribe for voting out his wife. And on Redemption Island, he's pretty much by himself because he will not let his wife swap out to do any challenge. He's going to be the grizzly pirate that he is and be like, I'm going to win Redemption, raw! And I question how long Rupert can do that. I'm not sure. It was hard for me to decide whether or not Rupert was truly in the 20th spot, just because I think he could go a little bit long in Redemption Island, and he got quite a bit of focus, so that tells me he might play a decent-sized role in this season. But ultimately, I couldn't figure out any way that Rupert wins this season, and that's why ultimately he gets the 20th spot for me, is that Rupert will not get to the end. Rupert will not win. I could justifiably see anybody else winning this season, technically, but I couldn't see it with Rupert, so I truly do think he's in just the worst spot ever.
Alright.
In the 19th spot is Marissa Peterson, who is Jervis's niece, and technically the third person voted out, but first person voted out at a tribal council.
Legitimately.
A legitimate tribal council, and it's fake. We don't know each other, and we're just going to make alliances right off the bat and vote anybody else out.
Or vote on your favorite sports team.
Yeah. Love them Redskins. Arse is such a jackass. I love that. That was brilliant. Anyway, yeah, Marissa, I mean, she kind of got screwed over by Jervis's terribleness. But ultimately, I also think she kind of screwed herself over a little bit by not just bad-mouthing her uncle, but by kind of not really presenting a solid case for why they should keep her.
You know what? Yeah, I can see that. I remember she was saying, like, things like, well, you should judge me on me, which is it's a good answer.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
But, yeah, when you point out, like, you should keep me because I'm good at being something on the tribe, yeah, she never said that, so I can see how she's not putting up a good argument.
Because I don't even feel like she ever really came out right out and said, we need to get rid of Katie, because Katie screwed up the puzzle. And I think if she had done that, it would have been it would have been less of, well, we have to vote somebody out, we might as well vote out Marissa. And then more like, alright, I could see why we should vote out Katie, maybe we should actually vote out Katie. I don't feel like she did that, and I kind of feel like she didn't really did enough fighting to justify saving herself. And now that she's on Redemption Island, I mean,
trying to get redempted.
Yeah, she's got to get redempted. It's gonna be hard for her. Right now she's the first newbie on Redemption Island, and she's only ever performed in one immunity challenge. So it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not she does better as an individual at Redemption Island, or if she doesn't do too well. I mean, I got a good sense that she did all right in the first immunity challenge. I didn't see any real reason to get rid of her, which is kind of why I thought it was a bad decision for the most part for her tribe, but I still got the vibe that they were going to vote her out just because of Jervis, just because they could.
Give an excuse.
Yeah. What do you think about Marissa's chances on Redemption Island?
I don't know. Same as you. It's like, she's new. Who knows what she can do? I guess that's the thing. She's just the big question mark.
Right. And not surprisingly, well, surprisingly to me, I wanted to put her in the 20th spot, but
she had a chance to come back.
Yeah, she has a chance to come back. Candace is number 18. I feel like she's probably, of the three that are on Redemption Island right now, she's probably got the best chances of surviving the first duel. It looked like it was like a combination of it looked like a balance challenge that they've had in the past, where they have to maneuver an idol through a maze using the stick, and then balance like 10 of those on top of each other and stacking them. But the stack is on top of the maze itself, and it can get wobbly. So if you brush up against the maze, it can knock over your stack. And I feel like not really tailor-made for any of the people on Redemption Island, but I feel like Candace has got fairly good odds of winning that challenge. I don't see any reason why she would. I feel like Rupert, a little clumsy, not really known for his balance, so he could possibly knock over his stack a couple times, and Marissa never had to do a challenge like that before, so I feel like Candace is in a good spot for that first challenge. But still, nobody wants Candace to be there. No.
She was voted out first.
She was voted out first. Technically second, because Tadahana voted first. Galong voted second, so she gets that. She can have that on her resume. I wasn't voted out first. Laura Bonham was voted out before me, so I'm not the first person voted out. Also, she's got a doctor, Mr. John Cody, potentially willing to switch with her at some point, if possible. And so I could see Candace doing semi-decently at Redemption Island. I didn't get any sort of vibe that she does well in this season, though. That's why I kind of felt like putting her at the 20th spot, because she got like 0 edit. I think she said like 2 things at Redemption Island, basically that she hates Rupert, and we saw her chopping up coconuts and saying like, this vote's for Tyson and this vote is for Laura.
I'm vengeful and angry.
Everybody that voted me out is just gonna die because they're this coconut. So yeah, Candace not in a great position. She could definitely be doing better, but we'll have to wait and see. So that's everybody that's on Redemption Island, noticeably in the bottom spots. Person who's in 17th place, just above the people at Redemption Island, is Laura Bonham, who, let's be honest,
belongs on Redemption Island.
Yeah, truly does deserve to be on Redemption Island. And let's face it, will inevitably end up on Redemption Island. There's no chance in hell that her tribe doesn't vote her out first. Like, they would have to vote out Colton first for Laura to not be the first person they send.
Unless somebody else screws up really hard.
Mm-hmm. Which could happen. I mean, I personally, I felt that Laura handled that first immunity challenge a lot better than Jervis did, which is really sad because Jervis has played before and Laura hasn't played before.
She's the wife of Rupert. It has to rub off.
Yeah. So who knows? You know, it only takes a couple of swimming challenges before they're just like, Jervis, what are you doing here? But I just don't get a good sense that Laura is well accepted by her tribe, and it would be a really good way for them to shove it in Rupert's face for ditching them by just voting out his wife and being like, here, now you have to beat your wife. Congrats. I hope you feel better about yourself. What did you get any good sense from Laura?
No, not really. Nothing there. Just the part where they're all watching her with the coconut.
Yeah, the whole, which was really sad. Arias really tried to bond with her, but you could see it on his face. He was just like, you are not Rupert. I wish Rupert was here. I think Arias might have a bit of a man crush on Rupert.
Everybody loves Rupert.
Yeah. Coming next fall. So the person in 16th place also could have been in the bottom three. Also could have been in 20th spot. Really, it was a hard fight for all of these people to be in the bottom spot. But this is the last person who I could have justifiably put in the last spot. Jervis Peterson, who, let's face it, had the worst first episode of Survivor history. It's pretty hard to have as terrible of an episode as Jervis did and not be voted out. Like, you're really struggling to not be voted out first when you perform as well as Jervis did. Just really shitty at swimming, and not just bad at swimming, but endurance in the swimming. Like, he was having trouble, getting up the blocks and, climbing over the little buoys and everything, getting into the boat, and it didn't look like he was contributing much to the rowing challenge part of the challenge either.
It kept spinning out.
Yeah.
Which is wow.
And then once we get to the end of the challenge, where, first of all, Jervis, I don't know why you're celebrating. You sucked at this challenge, but he goes out of his way to showboat to the other tribe and be like, don't, what was he shouting? Don't let that fool you? Which is just but you didn't fool us. We saw how terrible you were doing. So, I don't know. I was really happy for Jervis. I placed Jervis in my top 4. I was really excited to see Jervis come back, and then now it's just, wow. This 13 years later, you still can't swim. You're still refusing to eat bugs, and you're still cocky motherfucker. The only thing that happened is you're 13 years older. Now you don't have the endurance. You probably could have done better 13 years ago. So, I don't know. I was really disappointed with Jervis. What about you? You've actually seen Jervis this season before.
Yeah, I saw the first season, and I don't remember it that much, but I do remember that he was bad at swimming. I remember that did him in, but that's all I can remember.
Yeah. It didn't do him in, but he definitely sucked at water challenges, and it was a very noticeable thing.
Yeah, you kind of wonder, like, you're on an island. You don't really think about, oh, yeah, water.
Right.
But, yeah, then I realized, oh, yeah, you gotta get in the water a lot because fishing. So, I don't know. Mm-hmm. All my years of Gilligan's Island may not taught me anything.
All right.
Next spot.
All right. In 15th place, also the recipient of the Golden Onion Award for being the biggest crybaby whiner of the first episode, Mr. Colton Cumby.
Was he always that cray?
No, he didn't cry at all his first time around, although he did whine and bitch and complain. But
so was the crying a nice change?
Not really. It was more annoying, frankly. Like, I really wanted to believe that Colton was going to change, but he just didn't. Like, he's just so... Like, especially when he was yelling at Kat at the
challenge?
And during the challenge. He was just like, shut up and row the boat!
Didn't he, like, cuss her out or something?
Yeah, and then he proceeds to cry again. It's just like... We saw a lot of Colton this episode. Like, and kind of gave him this redemption vibe, but it seems like he just can't do anything without Caleb. And I feel like Caleb is in a way better spot than Colton is, and it's really getting to Colton that he's not with his fiancée. And it's just... I don't see Colton making it very far this season. Maybe a little bit farther than he got last time, but just...
That's only because his team will be winning because they're all old members, right?
Yeah. He's going to get by based off of the performance of his tribe, not by his own performance. And just a lot of crying. And I think it was noticeable to some people who were just like, is this the new Colton, or is this old Colton, but now he's crying? Especially Monica, who we'll get to a little bit later. Alright, the next spot, there's no 14th spot. This is actually a tie spot for a 13th.
Okay. Between
Kat Ederson and I can't remember Rachel's last name. I think it starts with an F, Focal something or whatever. We literally saw nothing of either of these two. Like, we saw them at the beginning of the episode where we were being introduced to everybody. But later, I mean, Rachel barely talked at all. She got the tree mail with Brad, and that was it. And Kat was yelled at by Colton, but other than that, we really didn't see much of either of these two. And I think that's a bad sign for them. Like, for Colton and Jervis, who, yeah, they're in a bad position, but we at least saw that they were in a bad position. We have no idea where Kat or Rachel stand in either of their tribes. And I could see, like, maybe where...
They just kind of glide along until they're voted out, and we're like, what? That person was still there?
Yeah, I mean, we saw 2 seasons ago where I swear to God I thought Carter was going to go home really early, and then suddenly he's in the top 6, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, what are you still doing here?
And then he felt betrayed.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering where Kat stands on her tribe, and I'm wondering where Rachel stands on her tribe. Clearly, with the Bro Alliance going on, Rachel probably doesn't have that high of a standing on her tribe, but she seems like she's in a relatively good position. I mean, but I don't know. We didn't really see either. I didn't get a good sense of either of them. But I still feel like they're both doing better than Colton and the bottom 5. So
they're staying out of view. They're not making waves.
They're not making waves, but they're also not
being interesting.
They're not making connections either. In 12th place is Katie. That's Tina's daughter, who almost went home. Not really, but she was. She got Marissa's vote to go home. Yeah, poor Katie screwed up the puzzle today. Not today, last Wednesday.
Episode.
Last episode. And I just feel like Katie doesn't have that much to offer. Although we did see a lot of, I'm going after my mom. I'm going to argue with my mom. Like, I know my mom. She's going to do the puzzle challenge. So I do feel like we have a little bit of a story going on with Katie, where Katie really wants to take out her mother in some sort of challenge. Beat her at her own game, is the way that she put it.
And the story is going to be, why is my mom so much better than me at this Survivor?
Yeah, I think she's getting set up for a huge wake-up call where it's just like, you're not as good as your mom at this game. Or maybe she is going to eventually become better than her mom, but I don't see that right.
Age like 40 more years.
Yeah, I don't see that yet though. I feel like
they put on Survivor every like couple years.
Yeah, maybe Katie gets far in this game, but right now I think tentatively she's probably not in a whole lot better position than either Kat or Rachel. But at least we saw her a bit, so that was mildly important. In the next position, spot number 11 is Laura Morit, who was almost voted out over Candace at the beginning of the episode. And then she helped school Tina's daughter Katie and her own daughter Sierra at the puzzle challenge. I'm not sure why Laura was almost voted out at the beginning of the episode. Did you get a good sense of why that was?
No.
Because for Candace, I know Candace was like a last-minute replacement. There was another person who was supposed to be on this season, but she got pulled at the last minute, and Candace was the replacement. So I feel like a lot of people voted her out because they didn't know what she was going to be doing or who she was going to be aligned with, so they just wanted to get rid of her. Also, everybody hates Candace. But I wasn't sure why Laura was getting a whole lot of votes. Like, she got at least 3 votes, I think. And
maybe she didn't say hello to everybody in the right way.
I guess, maybe. I think Laura contributed a lot in the puzzle challenge. I thought she kept a very cool head, and didn't panic. And we also didn't see her panic that we got a lot of votes at the beginning of the episode. You know, so many people, if that happened to them, they'd be like going around and like talking to everybody and like freaking out, like, you're not going to vote for me again if we go to tribal council, would you? And at least we didn't see that with Laura. Who knows? She might have done that, but we didn't. That wasn't presented us to that, so I won't speculate on that. But I think she's in a relatively good position, at least a lot better than. Who was the last person I said? Katie. What did you think about Laura?
I don't know. There's not much really to think about. She was just kind of there.
Yeah, she was kind of just there. I wouldn't say she's getting a winning at it, but I don't see her going home. Like,
she's not getting a loser at it.
Yeah, she's not going home right away.
Merger?
Well, this is the top 10. I wouldn't say necessarily merger. No, these aren't based on how I think their overall position is going to be. These are just how I see, based off the first episode, or like where they are right now in the episode, in the season. I think once we get maybe one more episode, or maybe even 2 more episodes, then we'll be able to have a better idea of who's in the top, who at least makes the merge and everything. I would say, though, I could see at least the top 5 making the merge.
All right, then.
And the bottom 5, I don't see making the merge. Maybe Jarvis, but I don't know. Anyway, top 10. Surprisingly, the bottom person of his own Bro-Liance is Mr. Brad Culpepper, also known as Culpepper, if you ask Jeff Probst. And I find it hilarious that he's the person who constructed this alliance, And yeah, I feel like he's at the bottom of this alliance. Like we saw it from Hayden, John, and Caleb. All three of them were a little wary of Brad Culpepper. And even, I think, Vetus, to a degree, was just like, yeah, Culpepper's in charge, but I really kind of want to work around him. I think he's going to put his foot in his mouth and everything. That's how Vetus talks in my mind. And I don't know, I just felt like he kind of put his foot in his mouth at the very beginning, where he was just like, oh, you know, if there's a tarp, I don't want, like, my wife to not get that tarp. And then he had to, like, sort of reassure his tribe, you know, I'm not going to throw any challenges. I'm going to go 110%. And anytime you tell your tribe that you have to go 110%, your tribe should immediately say, I'm going to write your name down, because 110% makes me a little weary of you. I'm weary of 110%.
What if I said 109%?
Even more weary, because then you're not even giving your full 110%.
Ah.
What do you think about Brad and his mathematics skills?
He talks a lot. Yeah, I thought his foot's going to go in his mouth one of these days. That mouth is going to get him in trouble.
Yeah. I feel like it already has. Like, I saw right off the bat, Marissa was kind of weary of Culpepper a little bit. So I feel like if over half your tribe kind of looks at you and doesn't really trust you all that well, then you're probably not in as good of a spot as you think. I think the guys will help eliminate some of the weaker women on their tribe, and then they'll just vote out Brad.
The Bro Alliance will be a Bro Alliance till Brad gets voted out there.
I think he had the most airtime for the first episode, too.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Which isn't a good or bad thing. I think it's a bad thing for him, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't see him making the merge. And if he does, he's got a long ways ahead of him to get to the title of Sole Survivor. In the 9th spot... Is that right? Yeah. In the 9th spot, the next member of the Bro Alliance, whose wife is on Redemption Island, is Mr. John Cody, who seems like he wanted to cry a lot, but the tears never quite came.
Yeah.
He had the cry face on. He had the cry face going. He just wasn't crying.
Stops
his emotions were taking over.
Yeah.
But maybe he promised himself he just wasn't gonna cry, and he didn't. I think the thing about John is I could definitely see him switching positions with his wife at some point. And then I think it's over for him. I don't know if he could possibly win Redemption Island, but I just don't get a good sense that he's really in it to win it. He seems like he would sacrifice himself for his wife, which I don't think is ever a good position to be in. I think his tribe is going to be a little bit weary of him if he keeps crying all over the place. I think eventually Culpepper is going to be like, okay, so we have a 3-guy alliance and then 2 gay guys, which apparently is how that works. What did you think about Cody? John Cody?
Yeah, it seems like I don't know, okay dude with his wife, but yeah, I kind of cry, but I don't know. If he's not going already, maybe he knows that he'll be out with his tribe, and he doesn't want to pull a Rupert. Mm-hmm. So that could be like he could be smart. If he doesn't ever do it, maybe he's just smart strategically, and that would put him in a higher position later.
I don't know. To me, he kind of seemed a little mentally checked out, especially at Tribal Council. But I think he's going to do well in the challenges. I just hope he can keep that up and not present himself as someone who's only thinking about his wife at this point.
You think what they did with Survivor in the first episode was pretty mean. It was like, how do you make a baby cry? You give him candy. How do you make an adult cry? You give him one night on a deserted island with their wife.
Yeah.
And you take them away.
So, in the number 8 position, not part of the Bro Alliance, who desperately wanted to beat her mom at that challenge, is Sierra, who I think is doing a little bit better than her mom. I was a little shocked that Sierra name wasn't brought up for potential to go home. I guess she did a little bit better than Katie did in that challenge. Caleb also did fairly well, but I don't know. It didn't seem like either of them were too. None of them were really stellar at putting a puzzle together. So
Doesn't mean that they weren't the best.
yeah, that's true.
I don't know how anybody else would put the puzzle together either.
Yeah. But it seemed like there was too many cooks in the kitchen, and Katie was that extra cook. So I think Sierra and Caleb are in decent positions on their tribe. And Sierra seemed like she was getting a decent edit when she was talking to Culpepper and Vetus about being a teen mom and everything. She's kind of getting a little bit of a redemption story too. So I could see in a couple weeks where she might be coming into her own and be in a decent position. Only time will tell. And I look forward to seeing where Sierra ultimately stands in her tribe. In spot number 7, we didn't see a whole lot of him, but from what I saw, I think he's in a really good position. Is Tyson Apostle, who within 15 minutes of being on the beach immediately made fire and then disappeared for the rest of the episode. Except to mock the other tribe for not having fire. That was amusing. And Tyson just kicked the crap out of that swimming challenge. He was just... he could have lapped Jervis twice, going backwards with one arm tied to his ankle, and still beat him to the beach.
You know, so you're telling me that he can do the funky chicken and swim?
Yeah. I think he would be insulted if he didn't do it, frankly. I love Tyson. I put Tyson at my number 1 spot. Rachel was just kind of there along with him. But I like where Tyson's at. I would like to see a little bit more of Tyson. The fact that we're not seeing a whole lot of him yet kind of makes me a little worried. But I think we saw enough of him for me to justifiably think that he's in a decent position. I don't think anybody's going to be targeting Tyson just yet.
He makes the fire. If we don't have him, we'll all starve.
Yeah, I mean, he learned that from Boston Rob, so Tyson in a good position. What do you think about Tyson?
Yeah, just that he made the fire, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
It was that, no, we have fire. Do you have fire? Yeah, we have fire. You want some fire? Yeah, we got it on.
No, we don't need fire. We have it.
Good. I'm glad you have fire. We have fire too.
Oh, God.
That island over there is half on fire. That's us. That's too much fire. Shut up.
In 6th place, just outside of my top 5 for the first episode, is the next member of the Bro Alliance.
Bro Alliance?
Bro Alliance? Is Caleb, who I thought did an excellent job of balancing his social game and his strategy, because he could have easily been like, oh, I'm the gay guy, they're not gonna accept me into this Bro Alliance, but he kind of went along with it, and he was doing decently well at the puzzle, as decently well as a terrible performance at that puzzle could have done. And
I don't know. Being gay doesn't seem like a detriment. It just seems more like you're Colton's other. It's a bigger detriment.
Well, when Culpepper says that they have 4 guys and a gay guy, there's clearly some stigma for Culpepper in referring to Caleb as a guy.
Maybe Culpepper was just worried, like, no, I have to... 4 straight guys. Maybe you have to be PC and point out that he isn't a straight man. Is that PC or is that not PC? I don't know. I'm Culpepper, Devin.
Or you can just say there's 5 guys working together. And you don't have to specify whether or not they have a sexual orientation or not.
We have 5 units.
Nobody brought it up before Culpepper did.
If all these guys took off our pants, there would be nothing there.
Alright. So, yeah, and I thought Caleb handled the whole, I was part of the reason why we lost this first immunity challenge because I was working on the puzzle. I thought he handled it very well, just like Sierra did. Because he didn't freak out. He wasn't just like, oh, my head's up on the chopping block, I gotta, scramble and everything. He was just kind of like, I have this alliance going on. I don't need to worry too much. Katie was the main reason why we lost. I think I could blame this on Katie.
Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, he was fairly confident, and I didn't think he freaked out. He held up high, and he's not Colton, so I think he's got that going for him. What do you think of Caleb?
Yeah, cool guy. That's about it. He's cool.
Cool guy?
Yeah.
Alright. So this is my top 5. I could justifiably see any of these people making it to the merge and potentially winning. So, number 5 is our first returning winner, Miss Tina Wesson.
You think she's in the top 5 because she won before and nobody's gonna want to see her win?
Not necessarily in the top 5, but she's in the top 5 of the remaining people.
No, I mean she's number 5 because she won already.
Yeah.
And you think they want to let her win again?
They don't want to let her win again. But still, I think it's interesting that she got a decent amount of focus. She kind of she was talking about battling her daughter. She was talking about Rupert making a bad strategy. She was talking with RS and everybody. I thought
and she was already in the game from the minute they touched the sand.
Absolutely. Tina was full on game strategy. She kept her she held her head up high. And she kept focused, and she, Laura, another reason I put Laura relatively high, and Tina definitely very high, is that neither one of them were very freaked out about having to go up against their daughters. They were just like, yeah, we're going to school them in this puzzle. Watch this.
Not even that, this is the game.
This is the game.
This is what we got to do.
Yeah. Neither one of them, they might, obviously, if their daughter goes home, they're going to, be a little sad. But they're not losing sleep over the fact that they won and their daughters lost.
Yeah.
They spanked their daughters, and I think they had a good laugh about it afterwards. So I think Tina's in a good position. We haven't seen anything that suggests that Tina goes home early or anything. What do you think about Tina?
Solid player. She's just good right out of the gate. Damn.
Definitely. I thought Katie was going to be cutthroat, and Katie was, but I think Tina showed me that she's just as cutthroat.
I don't think she's even cutthroat. I think she just knows how to play. It's just breathing to her.
Mm-hmm. All right. In the number 4 position is our other returning winner, Mr. Otis Bushkowskis.
Took you a while to start learning that name.
Yeah, also known as RS. No last name given.
Bushkowskish?
Bushkowskish. Francesca.
Almost sounds like Auschwitz.
Auschwitz, yeah.
Or Bukowski. I don't know.
Bukaki. RS Bukaki. Who I thought he seemed very playful. He voted for Jervis because he's a Redskins fan. And
that's a good strategy when you think about it. It's I'm non-offensive and I look kind of dumb right here.
I'm voting for the black guy, but it's because I'm a fan of the Redskins,
look at my shirt.
Not the Blackskins.
What?
And then he playfully told Laura that she sucks and that he wanted her husband. I don't know. And he was very helpful for Jervis in the water challenge. I just think overall, Aris presented himself as very likable, very keen, very strategic, very likable.
So how long until we vote him out just because he's funny and he'll probably win automatically?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, but who knows? Next week, I mean, we got a lot of focus on Rupert and Culpepper for this first episode, so who knows? Maybe next week everybody's going to be like, Aris is nice. We got to get rid of him. But for right now, I think Aris is in a good position. Number 3, the last woman standing. I almost put her in the top 2. Didn't quite make it to the number 1 spot, but I ultimately put her at 3. Is Miss Monica Culpepper, who just seemed like she was having a hell of a night. It was a pretty good night for Monica, where she immediately called Colton out on his bullshit. She had what was the quote of the night for me, which was, "Am I gonna get bamboozled again?" in reference to Colton. Like, that to me kind of spelled out her arc, is not wanting to get screwed over by the mistakes of the past, which...
But, would it be great if she was?
Oh, if she is. If that could honestly be the reason why she goes home, is that she's so worried about it, or that she doesn't think about it enough, and that she does get screwed over by either Colton or Kat, because those are the two people that she played with. But
no, it's the loved ones. Caleb and...
Oh, yeah. Caleb and Hayden and her own husband.
How is this happening?
Culpepper. Yeah, but I thought, overall, Monica was in a really good position. I thought she did well at the challenge. You know, she helped put the puzzle together. Her husband is in the dominant alliance on the other tribe, so he's probably not going anywhere right away. And it seemed like she's at least higher up on the ladder than Laura Moret, and Colton. So I think she's in a decent position. What'd you think about Monica?
Yeah, I gave her a lot of screen time. She seemed pretty well done and pretty confident throughout the whole game.
Yep. And that leaves our top 2. So the 2 players that we have left are Vitas Bushkowskis and Mr. Hayden Moss. And I want you to try and guess who I have in the number 2 position and who I have at the number 1 position.
Hayden is number 2 and Vitas is number 1. And the reason why, I think Hayden's already won Big Brother. I was going to want to see him win that again. And Vitas is number 1 because he's got a good redemption story. Right?
Actually, I had it reversed.
Fuck me.
I have Vitas at the number 2 position, and I'll tell you why. He jumped immediately. To me, as soon as I saw him, he jumped to the number 1 position. But I like his redemption story. I think it's a good story. It's definitely something that's going to keep him around. But I don't like the fact that there's this sort of Aris versus Vitas sort of edit that we're getting, where every time we see Vitas, he's mentioning, I was a crappy older brother, and, Aris was always the golden child. And as soon as we see Aris, it's just like, I really want to beat my brother at this game. I don't want him to beat me at this game. So I feel like there's a sort of a competition going on, and Vitas' redemption might be just beating his brother. And if that's his redemption, I don't see him getting the victory. I could just see him beating out his brother in this season. Whereas with Hayden, I thought he had a brilliant episode. I thought, he got a lot of good edits. He hates his tribe just as much as we do. He's easily in the top of his bro alliance. As much as Culpepper thinks that he formed it, it's his alliance. I think Hayden is a master manipulator. He's very strategic. He's very smart, and he's very sociable. I think people are going to be threatened by Vitas's social game. I think people are going to be threatened by John Cody and Culpepper's physical game, and I think people are going to be intimidated by the fact that Caleb is gay, and that he's on their tribe and in their general vicinity, and that he can get married in the state of California. But I don't think a lot of people are going to look at Hayden and immediately think, this guy's my threat. I think they're going to see him as the person they want to align with. And I think, overall, I didn't get any general sense that Hayden does bad in this game. And, I just think he's going to get the golden power of veto at some point and just win his way to the end. John is looking confused because he does not watch Big Brother. That's a Big Brother thing, the golden power of veto.
Golden power of veto?
Who knows? He could get an idol. That could be his golden power of veto.
So it's an immunity idol in Big Brother?
Yeah, but you compete for it every single week, and you can take yourself off the block. Because they nominate 2 people for elimination, then they have a veto competition, and then if you win the veto, you can take one of the nominees off, especially if you are one of those nominees, you can take yourself off. Then another person goes up in your place, and then you vote between the 2 people who are up on the block.
Am I British?
No.
Why do I care about Big Brother then? No, I'm just kidding. Ah, my leg. I need that leg.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think Hayden's in a good position. I think the Bro Alliance is doomed to fail.
They always are. Like, alliances made on the first day is they have their time.
I don't think all alliances made on the first day are doomed to fail. We've seen a lot of alliances born on the first day get to the end and be relatively good. I just don't see this one. I think Culpepper is an idiot. I think Caleb is too attached to Colton. I think John Cody's too attached to Candace. And Hayden and Vetus are in good positions, but I see Vetus being distracted by his brother. So
I'm going to take you down, brother, even if it means taking myself down.
Yeah, so Hayden, I think, is easily in the best position. And I want to see how the season plays out. I'd like to see Hayden win. I think it would be cool to have someone who's won Big Brother and won Survivor. And then he can go on The Amazing Race and win The Amazing Race. And then we can have him on Celebrity Fear Factor and the Match Game 2012. And
then whatever reality TV show competition they come up with next. I don't know, Bachelor?
he can go on The Bachelor. He can have the Quadfecta.
He'll have the mole.
Yeah, the mole. He can win the mole, too. He'll actually be the mole.
He'll win at the mole, and he'll be the mole at the same time.
Right.
He didn't know. He had to figure it out himself.
Yeah.
I'm the mole.
Nice.
Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Rupert's done. He's out. I predict that he will be the first person eliminated at Redemption Island. Hopefully. I say if Galong wins immunity, I think Rachel or Katie will be voted out because I think they're in the bottom right now. And if Tadhana wins immunity, I could see them voting out possibly Colton, possibly Jervis, but most likely Laura Bonham. And next week, Redemption Island, we get to see our first sight of that, and we also get to see how the hidden immunity idols are going to play out this season.
What do you think about like the fact they brought up Cochrane around mid-episode when they talked about like that's how people win now? People like Cochrane.
I mean, it's true. I mean, if I would play Survivor, I'd definitely go for the Cochrane tactic. But at the same time, I don't think I would take out the Cochranes because I feel like you need the Cochranes. Because if you take out the Cochranes, all you're left with are the Culpeppers, and they can't even do math. So
it seems like Culpepper wants to be the Cochrane though.
Yeah, but he's not because he's physical. Cochrane is known for his strategy and his scheming. But then again, we saw last season Cochrane. I mean, he won the most immunity challenges. So there you go. Who knew?
Maybe we're going to the Cochranization of Survivor now.
Yeah. But then again, to be fair, 2 of those immunity challenges he had an advantage in, and one of them was eating bugs. So I'm not taking away anything from his victory. Cochrane definitely deserved to win that season, but
He planned to have those advantages though.
Yeah, it's true. That was smart of him.
It's kind of like a weird thing. Is that your sister?
No.
Alright.
Okay. I think that's it.
That's it.
Ayo, ayo,